Good morning children. Have you all did the eye exercise? Don't forget to do the eye exercise every day children. Doing it every day will keep your eyes healthy and fresh. And I hope everyone is staying safe and fine at home. To keep yourself safe and fine, what you have to do children? Wash your hands and keep your surroundings healthy and hygienic. And children, since we are staying inside our house for the past 2 months, we are completely not exposing ourselves to the sunlight. So it is must that we need more of vitamin D, which will increase the strength of your immune system. So everyone please make sure that you are spending at least 10 to 15 minutes in the morning around 8 o'clock till 12 o'clock to get more of vitamin D, which will improve your immune system, so that in turn it will fight all the virus and bacteria very quickly. Even if you get affected, this vitamin D will help you children. So please make sure you're standing in the sunlight, and inform your parents also to spend more time in sunlight, at least 10 to 15 minutes every day. I guess you will follow from today children. Now let us move into the content. What do we have usually? Some interesting facts. Let us see some interesting facts, that is some general knowledge about animals which we had last week also. This week let us continue with the same. Today we have the fastest land animal. What is the fastest land animal children? I think you know this. It is cheetah. The largest land animal, this is elephant, but this is a special species of an elephant children. So this is very commonly found in Africa. The name of this elephant itself is African bush elephant. So this is the largest terrestrial living animal. The world's heaviest flying bird. What is the world's heaviest flying bird? This is great bustard. So this is the heaviest flying bird in the world. Now let's recap what all we discussed in the last class. So we saw the classification of invertebrates, and we saw the first 6 phyla in detail. We had completely 9 phyla, so we saw first 6 in detail. So we saw first as Phylum Porifera. They are pore bearers, so they have small pores on their body. Through that pores they will do the respiration, and the water system will be entering into their body. Water will enter in through that pores into their canal system also. So that pores we call it as ostia. Very common examples are sponges. It is very commonly known as sponges. An example also we saw as Euplectella and Cycon. And then we moved on to phylum Coelenterata. Coelenterates, they are also aquatic organisms, very commonly seen in sea waters and very few in fresh waters. And then we saw them, one common thing is they are diploblastic. That diploblastic itself, they are having ectoderm and mesoderm. Between that they have a non-cellular jelly-like substance, we call it as mesoglia. The example we saw was jellyfish, and also they bear a long stinging cells. In the tentacles we call it as nidoblast. Their tentacles are used for catching their prey. Then we moved on to phylum Platyhelminthes, that is flatworms. Since they are flat in nature, they are bilaterally symmetrical, triploblastic. Tri means 3. So ectoderm, endoderm and mesoderm layers they are having, and they are also acoelomate. Since they are flat in nature, always they depend on others for their food, so they are called as parasites. And then they are hermaphrodites, which is very important point here. Hermaphrodite means what? They will have the both male and female reproductive organ in the single individual itself. Example we saw as tapeworm and liver fluke. Then we moved on to phylum Ascalminthes. Example we saw was roundworms. They are also bilaterally symmetrical, triploblastic and pseudocoelomate animals. They can be existing as parasites and also free living form. Then they are having separate sexes, male and female are there. They are unsegmented and their body is covered by a thin cuticle. This common disease caused by this roundworms are what? Elephantiasis and ascariasis. The worms which come in our stomach are ascaris. Then we moved on to Phylum Annelida, that is segmented worms. They are also bilaterally symmetrical, triploblastic, and they were the first true coelomate animals based on the organ system of gradation, and they are divided into segments. Their body is divided into segments. We call them as metameres. They are joined by ring-like structures. We call it as annuli, and their skin is also covered by a cuticle, and legs are setae and parapodia. Here the sexes are separate, or sometimes it may be united also. Example we saw were Nereus, earthworm and leech. Then we moved on to phylum Arthropoda, that is animals with jointed legs, and this is the largest phylum in the animal kingdom. They are also bilaterally symmetrical, triploblastic and coelomate animals. The body is divisible into head, thorax and abdomen, and what will happen, one special thing was they will shed their skin and they will regrow them again. So this process, casting off and regrowing the exoskeleton, we call it as molting. Examples we saw were cockroach, millipede, centipede, spiders and scorpions. In today's class, we are going to discuss the remaining three invertebrates, that is phylum Mollusca, phylum Echinodermata, phylum Hemichordata, followed by chordata. Under chordata we have two classifications, one is vertebrata and prochordata. We are going to see prochordata in detail. This prochordata is classified as subphylum Urochordata and subphylum Cephalochordata. Let us see the continuation of invertebrates first, and then we'll move on to the chordata, children. First we have the continuation of invertebrate is phylum Mollusca, that is soft bodied animals. They are diversified group of animals living in marine, that is they are very commonly seen in sea water and fresh waters also, and sometimes they also can be found on the land, that is they have terrestrial habitat, means they are also found on the land. Their body is bilaterally symmetrical, means the organs are arranged along the central axis. If you cut, you will get two equal halves, soft and without segmentation, that is their bodies are very soft and they don't have any segments on their body. It is divided into head, muscular foot and visceral mass. The foot helps in their locomotion. So if you see here, they have head here, and this part is foot, and this top hump area we call it as visceral mass. The entire body is covered with fold of thin skin called mantle. So they have a skin here, you can see the mantle, which secretes out a harder calcareous shell. So this mantle will secrete a shell. This is nothing but a snail. If you see a snail, they have a thick shell on their body, so that is secreted from this mantle. So this shell we call it as calcareous shell. They do their respiration through gills or by lungs, or they use both for their respiration. Here the sexes are separate with the larval stage, that is at the baby stage their sexes are separate. Example, very common example is this garden snail. So this is the calcareous shell, children. And another example is octopus. One interesting feature about, or one important or interesting character about this octopus is it is the only invertebrate that has a capable of showing emotions, empathy, cognitive function, self-awareness, personality, like mostly like humans. So this has some special quality which can feel the emotions and to what to say, to function, to have self awareness like human beings. This octopus has the same characters like human beings, which is the only invertebrate having this feature. Next we have is phylum Echinodermata, that is spiny skinned animals. Spiny means like sharpened corners, like spines. They will have very sharply pointed ends. on their skin. They are exclusively free living marine animals. They are triploblastic. So free living marine animal means they live individually in the sea water very commonly. They are triploblastic means they have ectoderm, endoderm and mesoderm. True coelomates means they have proper body cavity with organ system of gradation. They are categorized based on the organs. Adult animals are radially symmetrical. So when they are grown up, if you see, they are radially symmetrical where the body organs are arranged around the central axis. But if you see the larvae stage, that is when they are in the baby stage, they remain bilaterally symmetrical. That is, when you cut, you will get two equal halves. A unique feature is the presence of fluid filled water vascular system. Their locomotion is by tube feet. So water vascular system, so this is this arrangement, this kind of arrangement, we call it as water vascular system. Tube feet is nothing but, you can see here, no children, tube feet, it is nothing but a small projections outside on their body, so that with the help of that they will move. Body wall is covered with spiny hard calcareous ossicles. So ossicle means baby bones, very small bones, we call it as ossicles. Calcareous means they are very hard, like a shell, they are very hard. Their body wall is covered with the, they are looking like spine also with pointed ends, and they are very hard, they are very small bones, so we call it as ossicles. Examples are starfish. So this is starfish. Very important feature is water vascular system. So that is, you can see the arrangement here, that we call it as water vascular system. And this is sea urchin. So you can see how spines, how the spines are very sharply pointed outside. Next we have phylum Hemichordata. So they are marine organisms with soft vermiform. So they are also very commonly found in seawater. Vermiform means like worms. They have a body feature like worms, and unsegmented body means they don't have any segments. They are bilaterally symmetrical, which means the body parts, the organs are arranged along the central axis. If you cut, you will get two equal halves, and they have proper body cavity, that is coelomate animals, and non-chordate and chordate feature. So they don't have notochord actually, that is they don't have backbone. Their gill slits give the feature of their chordate. So they don't have backbone, their gill slits shows their feature of the chordate. So that is what it is given here, non-chordate and chordate feature, which means their gill slit shows the feature of their chordate. And they are ciliary feeders and mostly remain as tuberculous forms. Ciliary feeder means they have a small hair-like projections on their body, which will help them to get the food, and that food will be having some microorganism. This particular animal, which it will kill the microorganisms using that cilia, which means small hair like projections over their body. So it will take their food through that hair, that is cilia, and it will kill the microorganisms using that, and then it will feed itself. Example is Belanoglossus, that is acorn worms. So this is Belanoglossus, children. Next we have chordata, that is animals which possess backbones. We call it as chordates. So these chordates are categorized by the presence of notochord, dorsal nerve cord and paired gill pouches. So you can see here notochord is present, and dorsal hollow nerve cord and paired gill pouches, we call it as pharyngeal slits. This notochord is long rod-like support along the back of the animals, separating the gut and the nervous system, which means it will separate, this notochord will separate the stomach intestine part from the nervous tissue. All chordates are triploblastic, which means they are having ectoderm, endoderm and mesoderm, and coelomate animal means they have proper body cavity. Phylum Chordata, it is further divided into Prochordata and Vertebrata. We are going to discuss Prochordata in detail today. This Prochordata is considered as forerunner of vertebrates, that is the before stage of vertebrates. So before vertebrates, so like you say, advanced stage we call it as. So forerunner means advanced stage. So based on the nature of the notochord, this prochordata is classified into subphylum Urochordata and subphylum Cephalochordata. So subphylum Urochordata, first point, see here children, notochord is present only in the tail region of free living larva. So if you take this Urochordata, backbone is present only in the tail region. The adult form of these animals are sessile forms. Sessile form means they don't move, they are immobile, they will stay in one fixed position and mostly degenerate, which means one will multiply into the same without any change in their structure. We call it as degenerate. The body is covered with the tunic or test, which means a loose skin is present on their body. Example, Ascadian. So you can see here they are degenerate, which means they show the same features which is repeated again. Next we have is subphylum Cephalochordata. The cephalochordates are small fish-like marine chordates with unpaired dorsal fins in the sideways. They have an unpaired fins. The notochord extends throughout the entire length. So the notochord means the backbone throughout the body it is extended. Example is Amphioxus. So in today's class children, we have discussed the remaining phyla of invertebrates, that is phylum Mollusca, soft bodied animals. We saw snail as an example. Then we saw phylum Echinodermata, spiny skinned animals. We saw starfish and sea urchin. One important feature in starfish was what children? They have water vascular system. Then finally in this we saw phylum Hemichordata. Example we saw was Balanoglossus. Then we moved on to chordata. Chordata means animals bearing backbones. So under this chordata we had subphylum Urochordata and subphylum Cephalochordata. Under Urochordata we saw Ascadian as an example. Under Cephalochordata we saw Amphioxus as an example. In the next class let us see these vertebrates in detail. Until then, thank you children. Revise thoroughly.